I've always tried to put experience before the photograph. I think it's more important to go out there and go home with an experience first, and if as a byproduct you go home with a photo that you really like, that conveys how you felt when you were there, then great. Like a lot of people from out east, I came out to see the mountains because that's what you do. It's on everybody's list.
I'm originally from Ottawa, and Paul's originally from Quebec City. When we first moved here, we didn't really have an idea of what we wanted to do. We just knew we wanted to be here and create a life around that. When he first bought his camera, I think it was more out of interest's sake. People had told him that he was a good photographer and had a good eye for photography. I don't know if he quite knew that it would be his living.
The mountain environment is pretty challenging for a place to learn photography. Everything changes so fast, for one, and of course you have to deal with the cold and the wind, and it's a rugged place for sure, and it's fickle, but that's the beauty lies in the fact that it's fickle as well. It's always changing.
I did see a lot of potential. He has a really keen eye for unique compositions, and I think what he's really mastered over time is the technical aspects. I think he has a really unique style, and it started from the very beginning.
For me, I started like everybody else doing, you know, the iconic locations and taking photos close to the road. But after a while, once you have a few of those shots, it's nice to push the craft a little bit further and get outside of your comfort zone a bit. I started getting away from the roads a little bit more, starting doing some nighttime stuff and played under glaciers and in water and to do underwater stuff. So whatever allows me to see the mountains in a fresh new way, even if it takes a little more work to get an image.
His style is very adventurous. That comes out in his photos. The other part of the story is how hard he works to get his photos. And that's the part that people don't see, is him out in the cold and wading across this lake in his waders, losing gear, freezing temperatures, tough conditions. And a lot of his photos are taken on mountaineering expeditions. So not only is he doing the climbing, but he's also carrying all his camera gear.
Sometimes I just jump in the shot just because, well, it's telling a different story altogether. Suddenly you're creating sort of a relationship between man and nature, and you're adding a sense of the scale and a sense of vulnerability. So there's lots of ways that you can add to an image, I think, by just jumping on the other side of the camera. It's really not about me, and that's why I'm not recognizable in the shots. It's more about creating that sort of relationship and sometimes tension between man and the mountains.
It also really demonstrates a person's vulnerability in that landscape, and I think that's ultimately why people are responding to them so positively. The reaction has been far beyond anything I think we expected, and that's something that you can't really predict with photography. You don't know which photos are going to touch people.
I love nature in general. I've always loved nature. Why the mountain environment? I think it's just how dynamic it is and how different it is every day. And you wake up in the morning and you look out the window and you think, you know, you see a view that you've never seen before. Like a lot of people, I ended up never leaving because it just felt right. I feel like that's where I belong.